Well, it was 2012, and my camera had just been stolen for the second time. I was beside myself. I was devastated. But maybe not so much for having it stolen, rather than not really having taken advantage of actually owning anything. But why? Why did I feel this way? Well, because I had found something new, a discovery that was either too involved in my other activities or just didn't find the space for yet. Maybe I haven't really flushed out the idea of what it was. So, to tell the story, I have to go all the way back to 2008. Welcome to part 1 of Finding the Light, a 3-part series on how I got started in light painting. I'm Michael, and this is Midnight Canvas. So, back in 2008, I was working for the man. Well, that man was my dad specifically, and it was Christmas time, and every year, we talked about doing bonuses, and well, this year he had a novel idea. Why don't I get you a camera? You can use it for your artwork, and we can also use it here at the shop and use it for product photos and things like that. Immediately, I wasn't too enthralled, but alright, I get where you're going. This would be really good for my paintings, being able to capture those and, really set myself up for taking better pictures. I mean, at that time, cell phone pictures weren't great, so anything that I had wasn't really eye-popping. Now, at the time, I wasn't against photography for basic needs like I've described, but I kind of had a difficult time with a lot of photography as an art form too. My short-sightedness thought that it was too easy or a shortcut. These thoughts would eventually be removed from me, but that's kind of where I started. I just wasn't a huge fan of photography. So I used it for a while, struggled with some product shots, figured out a few things, and really struggled on capturing my paintings correctly. I really didn't know how to use the camera outside of those automatic settings that it had on it. And that made me a little frustrated, and even when I was trying to get good shots, I didn't know what I was doing. But in February of 2009, I brought it to a buddy's house, and I took my first artistic shots via a laser pointer. I didn't really know what I was doing and had really no idea what I was going to do, and that I was even doing a form of long exposure photography, which would be the basis of what I do today. But I love this reflection off the floor. I also really love to make a design on a wall or even some odd surfaces. I ended that day by taking those settings and moving my camera around on an existing light that was in the house. And it kind of got me started in a whole different direction too. Not just moving the light, but moving the camera itself. And then I went from February to September without taking any photos at all. No product shots, no artistic shots, no documentation. This is life, right? But luckily, that little spark of what I had captured was still in my head when I went on a walk in September. Well, I took some other shots. I decided I would take some shots of cars passing under the bridge and capturing their lights, like these. Now, obviously, these shots aren't the greatest, and I had not even learned how to focus my camera at night yet. That was still to come, but the ideas were there. Moving lights, long exposure. this would all feed into the future. So after my September walkabout, the camera found dust for a while. Until I started using it for a new job that I got. I actually started carrying it around to job sites for documenting things and still kind of using the automatic setting. That wasn't until the fall of 2010, so some time had passed. And one day I was donating some time to a church that we were working on, and had my bag on me, left it in what I thought a secure location, and poof, it was gone. Lost more than the camera, but that's for another story. That was my camera, stolen, in a church. What the? I couldn't really believe it. So we fast forward to March of 2011. I get a call from the police department. Oh my gosh, what did I do, right? It's usually people's first inclination of getting a call from the police department, right? Well, they had found my poor camera. It had been sold in a pawn shop, and yes, there were pieces missing, but guess what? I got the thing back. At least with one lens. The kit had 3, but I wasn't complaining. I had the basic kit lens that I needed to keep experimenting and keep doing things. Well, what a relief. Now, was I going to use it? Well, it took me a little while to get back to using the camera, but in July of 2011, I went to this little festival called Camp Euphoria. It's a festival that a lot of friends went to, and I was able to really enjoy my time there. But this is where the spark turned a little bit. I found fire spinners for the first time. I had never seen anything like this in my life, and while I had seen all sorts of neon lights and things like that at festival, I had never seen someone spin fire around. And well, I was a little bit in an inebriated state of some sorts. It was a festival, and after all. But I started taking pictures of these dancers, and I found something again. I was exploring a whole new set of photography that I had never seen before. I was pretty mesmerized by the movement that they were having, but I was also really experimenting with each shot. I was either zooming in or zooming out during the exposure. I was trying to change the focus over the time of the exposure as well, because I knew that over the time of the shot I would be able to get some of that fire that was not very clear and crisp to getting some very crisp fire lines. As I said, at a festival, there's lots of lights around at night. So I was pretty mesmerized and kept the camera going for a while. And then, about a month later, I had my car parked in town, locked up, but when you own a convertible, some people know how to get in, and my Canon got stolen for the second time. It was gone. I re-reported it, but it never showed back up. And this was 2011. So the little spark of creativity I got from the festival kind of went kaput. I had the photos, but they went from hard drive to hard drive, and never really dug into them that much. And even today, the photos that I'm showing you, a lot of them have been recovered from Facebook, even though that spark of creativity is gone. This was not going to be the end. I was going to make sure of it. Stay tuned, because part 2 of this series of how I found light painting is coming soon. See ya.